Well, welcome back. Today's podcast is for anyone who has ever felt like giving up. When things get hard, when progress feels slow and the opposition shows up, there's a question that quietly creeps in, and it's this: is it time to quit? Well, today we're going to be looking at Acts 18 1 to 11, and a really powerful moment in the life of Paul the Apostle that reminds us that something we all need to hear, and that is don't quit too soon. See, Paul arrives in the city of Corinth, a busy, influential, and moral complex place. And this isn't an easy environment, it's challenging and it's resistant. It's not exactly welcoming to his message. So why is he there? Well, Paul meets Aquila and Priscilla, a couple who share his trade in tent making. So Paul works alongside them, supporting himself while continuing to teach. See, every Sabbath he reasons in the synagogue, trying to persuade both Jews and Greeks. But eventually opposition grows stronger and people resist. Some actually reject the message and tension builds. And you can almost feel the weight of it. This wasn't a quick success. This wasn't an easy momentum. This was slow, difficult, and emotionally draining work. So let's pause here, because this is where many of us would start to question everything. Is this working? Is this worth it? Or should I keep going? Are some of the questions that would go through our minds. And Paul had every reason to feel discouraged. He had faced rejection before. He had experienced hardship, and now, once again, he's in a difficult place. And this is often how quitting begins. Not with the big decisions, but with the quiet doubt. It's a slow erosion of confidence, a growing sense that maybe it's time to stop. And if we're honest, we've all been there in our relationships, in our goals, and in faith. Moments where we're continually feels harder than quitting. But then something happens. In the middle of the pressure, God speaks to Paul in a vision. Do not be afraid, keep on speaking. And do not be silent, for I am with you. And no one is going to attack and harm you, because I have many people in this city. This is really powerful, because God doesn't say leave. He doesn't say find somewhere easier. He said stay, keep going, don't quit. And notice why? I have many people in this city. In other words, there is still purpose here, still impact to be made, still lives to be reached, even if Paul couldn't see it yet. And here's the key takeaway: persistence matters more than immediate success, because we often measure progress by the visible results. So things like how quickly things change, how many people respond, and how easy the journey feels. But the real impact doesn't always show up right away. Sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's hidden, and sometimes it requires staying longer than you planned. But Paul, he ends up staying in Corinth for a year and a half, teaching, building, and investing. And over time, a strong community forms. But that only happened because he didn't leave when it got hard. And this is another important truth. Fear doesn't mean stop. You see, God tells Paul, do not be afraid, which tells us something that Paul was feeling fear. And that is absolutely normal, because fear doesn't disqualify you. It doesn't mean you're on the wrong path, and sometimes it simply means that you're in the moment that matters. And the question isn't whether you feel fear. The question is, what do you do next? So let's bring this back to you. Where in your life are you feeling the urge to quit? Maybe it's something that you've been working on for a very long time, and maybe it's a situation that feels resistant or slow. So now consider this. What if there's still purpose in the place where you're ready to leave? And what if growth is happening even if you can't see it? And what if breakthrough requires just a little more time? What if quitting now means missing what comes next? You don't have to ignore the difficulty, but you also don't have to walk away too soon. Well, I want to thank you for listening today. And if this podcast spoke to you, just take the moment to pause before making any decision to step back or give up. Because sometimes the difference between impact and regret is simply staying a little longer. So don't quit too soon.